Hello, beautiful souls out there. I hope you're able to get out in nature like Starlight is. Woo! So yes, I'm out here in the heart of nature, out here at this beautiful park out here. And I hope you're able to get out in nature somewhere. And it is no accident that you're here with me right now. And because in this universe, there's no accidents or coincidences. So you were meant to push that button. And also, I want to say a big, huge thank you to all of you who are here, who've been here, loving and supporting Starlight, and also those of you who have subscribed to my YouTube channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, there's a, don't forget to push the subscribe button. Plus, thank you to all of you who watch my videos or leave me a comment or share my videos. I appreciate all of you. Plus, don't forget the notification bell. And also, you can, whoops, Starlight had a brain freeze here. I already said the notification bell, but if anyone would like, you can also send some love donations to Starlight's Cash App, and I will have that information here. Ting! There it is. And before I start this video, so today it's about not, really, you got to be careful of the people that you have in your life. So this is about cutting cords. Cutting cords. What is about cutting cords? What kind of cords are we cutting, Starlight? Well, you know what? I'll tell you what, if you're really serious in this reality here, more than likely there's going to be some cords that you're going to be cutting. People that are not really the ones that you need in your life right now. And Starlight had to, I am not in New York, and so I had to let go of people that were not loving and supporting me. Let go that people were not cheering me. People that are not there. So in this video here, it's to let you know if, I'll tell you what, in the Bible, the story of Job, the book of Job, wow, I'll tell you what, the universe really tested that man out in so many ways, all kinds of crazy ass shit. If you never read that book in the Bible, wow, that's a book to read. Like, what did Job go through? And I'll tell you what, that book is so much like the way this reality, this stimulation, this matrix is, because you can't believe and trust every spirit out there, because we're multi-dimensional spirit beings having a human experience. And just because somebody's out there saying stuff, you know what? It doesn't mean anything. They have to prove what they're saying. Are they real? Because you know what? I've had a lot of people say all kinds of stuff to me on this journey for the time that, even before this journey, making all promises, saying that they're going to do this, saying they're going to do that, saying that, and I'm like, oh, okay, thank you. And you know what? They didn't. They told me what I wanted to hear. And that's what you got to watch out. There's going to be people that are going to tell you what you want to hear, but are they being real? Are they being sincere with you? Are they being honest? And that's what you got to watch out in this reality. And this, so is that cutting cords. And I've done meditations like that. And it is something where I've cut cords on with people in my life, where I'm like, you know what? They are not themselves right now. It's obvious. Everybody knows that they are not themselves. But the person that's not themselves, or, they think they're okay. They don't even know what's going on, because there's shit that goes on with people, with these entities out there. And when we open up like a window or a door, in our life, when we're doing things that are not really pleasing to God, we're opening up the door, like a portal of entities to come in us. And they have a way of affecting people in ways that you would not believe, and what ends up happening is when these entities go in certain people, is that it draws them to more people with that low frequency vibration, and so then more entities end up, going inside these people or this person. And so, it's sad, like in the Bible, Jesus, there was a man with many legions of, demons or whatever, legions of demons in him, and people thought he was crazy. He was running around naked outside, so he had lots of stuff going on. So, because, like with Starlight, I want to be, around the right kind of people. And if you're around the wrong kind of people that are, putting fear out into your reality, getting you to be afraid about things, and you want to go and do things, and they discourage you from doing the things that you want to do, those are the people that you got to cut the cord. I don't think I have like a cord that I can cut. I have a strap, but that's not gonna actually. Starlight is I got such imagination here, but I do have like Starlight broke her strap, but so yeah, just like this strap that used to be a whole complete strap, is that you're just gonna have to cut the cord. If this was connected to a person, it's like, hey, I'm sorry, but I gotta cut this cord, because you know what, now I'm waking up and I'm seeing you used to be a certain way. You were, a long time ago you were this way, and now I'm like, I don't even know who you are anymore. So you got to really be careful of the kind of people that you have as company, in your reality, because those people are going to trip you up. And you know what, there's people out there, they've been brainwashed to believe that, it could be family members or friends, because I'll tell you what, we all have been brainwashed in one way or another, in different forms, in different ways, depending on your background, starting with your parents, the school system, because all the school systems, they have different programs of control. Churches, they all have different ways of, controlling the people, I would be here all day explaining all the differences out there, and I wouldn't even know them all, because there's so many. There's some people that, in churches, they control the kind of clothes that you should wear. They want everybody to look like a clone, and that's what you got to watch out for. If everybody looks the same, dressed the same, is that, people ought to be able to wear what they want to wear. God gave us all a free will. And just because this is what I've seen along my journey here, as I met teenagers, and I did get connected to some of them at a certain park a while back, and a girl, she might have gone through something horrible, and she was going through a problem with her boyfriend. They're young, these girls are young, and she's like, she was going through a hard time that day, and I was helping her through it, because she's like, he's there with his friends, and he's not spending time with me. And she was like, I seen it too. I seen it on her. The body language was so obvious that she was going through something. And I had to cook, in that area, and she was just sitting there, and I can hear her talking on the phone, talking to a friend, crying. You're not crying, but really, but with her conversation, she was kind of crying out to her friend, and like, yeah, no, I talked to all the girls, but they don't know what to do. They don't know how to help me out. So I'm overhearing bits and pieces of this information. So it's sad, because this girl, she needed help, and I did help her out. I did help her out in this situation that she was in, but she wanted to control the man, and say, I don't want him spending time with the friends, and and so I was really helping her out about not controlling, because we all have a free will. And she said, she was letting me know is, she goes, there's this girl, and that she's been coming here, at this park, and she's hanging out with those guys. It's hanging out with my boyfriend, and I don't like that she's over there and the way she's dressed, and I'm afraid that he's gonna look at her body like that, and I don't want him, and because this girl was dressed, covered up, and there, I looked at the girl, and she wasn't dressed as bad as, and it doesn't, it's not about the clothes, people, because we've been brainwashed in churches or even families that, if somebody wears certain clothes, like Starlight wear the kind of clothes that girl, but there's things I have a limit to. You know what? I wear certain things, on my YouTube channel, and there's times that I had certain things on, and I'm like, you know what? This is too much for me. And so, I try it out, and if I don't like it, I get rid of it. But, it's really up to me the kind of clothes I wear. But this girl had a hard time, with this girl because, the clothes that she had. And I said, oh, you got to really be careful with that because you don't really know that girl. And she goes, well, I used to wear those kind of clothes before. But, somebody told me that, some bad thing could happen to me if I wore those kind of clothes. And that is true, but at the same time, even the way I am dressed, just because I could dress modest, it doesn't mean that no guy is gonna rape me because I wear modest clothes, because I don't want to get off track, but so her point of view, she's young now, is that we gotta be careful about what we do, and the kind of people, that we cut cords on, is that the ones that are not really being there. And so you got to be careful with people, is that instead of judging them on the outside appearances, got to get to know these people first, so it's not about what people wear as far as letting go of people, it's what are they doing, what kind of activities they do. And back on track a little bit, is cutting cords, is that you're going to want to cut cords with people that are not supporting you. People that, if you gave up your drinking and they're drinking, it's up to you. But really, if you were drinking at once upon a time, because this happened to me, I gave up marijuana a while back, long time ago. Starlight could smoke, quit, throughout my whole life. And there was a time, because I was going to church, I had family members that, we went out hiking and we were used to smoking all the time together. But they were around me enough to know that I wasn't smoking, And one day, as we were going out for a hike, my relative actually tried to trick me, and it almost worked. Is that he tried to pass a smoking bowl with me, to smoke pot out of it. And he passed it to me just like old days, and I'm like, no, So because there's going to be people that if you gave up smoking and drinking, and you're hanging out with people that are smoking and drinking, it would be easy for you to go right back to where you came from. And so those people, you really got to be strong. Can you really be around those people that are doing things that you used to do? And what kind of lifestyle are they living? There's people that hang out with people, because they're lonely and they don't want to be by themselves. So you know what? They have the wrong people in their life. They're like, I gotta have this person in my life. They make me laugh. Yeah, they can make you laugh. But you know what? You're going up this way and they're going down that way. And you gotta have boundaries, when it comes to people in your life. Is what kind of boundaries are, protecting yourself, protecting your energy, and if you got the wrong kind of people in your reality, they could pull you down, because of the way, what do they talk about? Are they talking about helping you to be the change that you want to see? Are they talking about becoming their greatest version? Or are they talking about the past, and are they bringing up stuff in the past, to you? And if they are, they're not really going to be the best people to be around and spend time with. But that is up to you, because there's times that we are, sorry about this airplane. There are times that we might feel strong and we feel like we can take on the world, and then there's times that life happens where we're not so strong, and we have those kind of people. And you know what? Sometimes those people will be the ones that could pull us back in to where you came from. And so that is why Starlight, I used to, on this journey, I gave up all kinds of stuff, you know. I sacrificed a lot to be where I am, to be used of God. I actually just a couple nights ago, I had guys that go at this park, and we use the outlets, you know, and, you know, the picnic tables and all that. So I couldn't go anywhere. My stuff, I had to do what I was doing. But there was a man that was there, you know, smoking marijuana. I can't say nothing about him smoking marijuana, you know. But this happens everywhere I go, you know, different places that I go is there, you know, I can't control what they do, but I can control the kind of people that I have in my life. And so on this journey, well, that night though, this is what I want to say is, so one of the guys that, these people do live in their cars is, and I'm not saying a negative thing about these people, so I don't want you to think, hey, living in a car is bad. It's no different than what we did throughout history, you know, like a horse and buggy. This is, you know, this is history. That's what they did, is they had horse and buggies, and they were traveling from state to state, and, you know, they would go to a park, you know, and that's where they slept, you know, overnight, and then get up and go, then, you know, do different things like that. They had little spots. So sleeping in a car is not as bad as some people think. It's no different than in an RV. It's just a smaller space. So I'm not here to judge the people for living in a car. So, but one guy's like, the guy that was smoking, there's this one guy, and he's like, hey, you want some? And that guy's like, oh, no. You know, it was so funny. You know, he's, oh, no. And so I was hearing the stories of what they were talking about, you know. And this man says, you know, he speaks a little English, so we're trying to hear what he's saying. So he did try to smoke, but he had a really, really bad experience. You know, I guess he was getting sick and stuff like that. It really messed him up, and that was the last time he ever smoked again. But it's kind of weird how this all kind of happened. So this guy that already experienced smoking marijuana doesn't want to do it anymore. So then he thought it would be funny and like, hey, maybe Starlight wants to do it. She wants to party and stuff like that. And I'm like, oh no. See how this works? So the guy that's smoking, you know, people that smoke marijuana, they like sharing their dope with other people unless they don't really have a lot, you know. So they will, you know, hey, if you want, yeah, you can come and join us, you know. I've been around enough in my life, you know. If there's a party and people are smoking pot, they don't mind that you join them, you know. Even people that smoke cigarettes, you know, they bum each other's cigarettes, and even alcohol, you know, people will like, you know, they're like, hey, you don't have a beer, you want a beer, you know. So that's why you got to really watch out, is the kind of people that you have, because, you know, you might have to cut the cord, you know, like this strap here is, you know, like Starlight was stretched this a little too far. Cut the cord, you know, hey, I'm sorry, but we don't have anything in common anymore, you know. You might have done that a long time ago. And other people that you want to really cut the cord from is people that are being fake. You're being real. You know, there's people out there that they've been putting the mask on with me for a long time, you know. They're like, you know, hey, I'm here, Starlight. You know what? And I realize, you know what? It's all fake. It's been fake from the first, you know, from the long time. And it's been like this with this person, you know. They're, you know, the energy, there's something's quite not right, you know. And I'm like, you know what? My intuition knows that there's something screwed up. And you got to go by that. If you know somebody, or you have family or friends or somebody like that, or people that you know that you're in contact with, and something's not feeling right with that person, I'll tell you what, you got to listen to that. Because I've been going through this for this person for the longest time, and I'm like, you know what? There's people that will fake it. They will fake that they like you. What I realize, there's people, guess what? There's people that, would you believe, I live in my car, but I have people that are jealous of Starlight. They're jealous of me. They are. They actually are jealous of me, even though I live in my car. You know? So you got to really watch out. If people are jealous of you, Watch your back. I'm telling you, those people, they're only going to hurt you later on by having them in your, so you gotta cut the cord, because you hold on to those people thinking that you need those people. Those are the ones, you know what, they're testing you out. You're being tested, and they're going to be fake. They're going to say all kinds of stuff to you, and because I noticed the energy, I can actually sense their energy. I know when they're going to reach out to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're going to be calling me up on the phone right now, because I can feel their energy, and I know they've been playing games with me, So you got to really listen to this stuff, and it's not my imagination. This is stuff that's real. So you got to protect yourself, and even the kind of people that you have with your kids. Do you got the right kind of people? I'll tell you what, this is so deadly serious on this part. Those of you that have children, you better really know the kind of people that you have at your house. You better really know. I'm telling you what, when I grew up, I'll tell you what, there was a lot of crazy stuff going on. There's relatives come to the house, and people will wear a mask. They will do all kinds of stuff. They will earn the trust of the family and all that stuff. You got to really, really know the people that really, it's not really wise to let people take your children and go somewhere. You think that you trust them. I don't care. That could be the uncle in the family, it could be an aunt in the family. It could be anybody. It could be grandpa, anybody. It could be cousins, step relatives, You got to really be careful. You really better know the kind of people that you have when you have kids, because they will play a game. They will show up to all the birthday parties, and go there, and you got to watch out. You got to be wise. And I'm not being fake about this. You got to really know what kind of, do you got safe people in the, in your family coming at the house? Is there something that doesn't feel right? Are they getting too close to your kids? You've got to be careful, because kids don't know any better. There's, I'm not going to mention this story, but, there's times that, people have awesome vehicles, and somebody could actually say, hey, can I take your son for a ride, or can I take your, they like the car. This is how these people, predators, actually work on people, is that they have something, and the adult or kid is attracted to this, or maybe even ice cream, treating them out to ice cream and food. And kids are such suckers for this, even people, adults, and even with pets. People will use different things to lure your kids, or even people. So those things are tools that they use to lure you in or lure them in. And so you got to really be careful about that stuff. You might think, hey, I trust them, but if something doesn't feel right, is that you got to listen to that. If you got people and there's some, you think they've been shady, you don't like what they talk about, I got relatives that they had somebody in their life, and the friends that you have says a lot about who you are. What kind of friends do you have? I have relatives that, growing up, they were friends with a man. One of my relatives was friends with a man, and that man was probably around the same age as the person, maybe a little bit older, but he was like always flirting around with any woman all the time, being perverted all the time. You know what? Is that the kind of people that you want to spend time with? Always going out, it's bad. This particular man that I'm talking about, he flirted with, all the women in the family, all of them would come and visit, do jobs and act like a friend. That was no friend. That was a wolf. You invite a wolf to your house, they could devour the whole family. That man had issues, wanted to go with any woman, and he bragged about it, He would invite women to his house, used his horses. He had horses, Hey, I got horses. You want to come to my house and see my horse? Oh yeah, I want to go to your house to see the horse. You know, you got to watch out for this stuff. I'll tell you what, you got to be wise with yourself, your family, your kids, because people do. They use those things out there to lure them in, and it's a trap. Food, candy, all kinds of goodies out there, buying them gifts, watch out for those people. That's how they work. That's how they work. I'll tell you what, my kids, I didn't know this. We had people that were church members that were being so bad with my teenager boys. My boys are the boys that, I had a stepson and my son. They didn't know nothing. And what you got to watch out is that people will introduce things to the boys or even girls, and you don't even know nothing about it. You're like, they do it behind your back. They don't do it in front of your face. Just because somebody goes to the church, it doesn't mean that they're not up to no good. They introduce stuff to, these teenagers, and they didn't need to do that stuff. Let them find that out on their own. They didn't need to find that out on their own. They didn't have to have anybody to help them out in that area. So that's why you got to really, really be careful. The kind of people, you got your kids going to people's houses. I tell you what, you gotta really know these people. Talk to your kids. Hey, what did you do? You better know these people before you even have them go at their house. They could put do all kinds of shit to make you trust them, and they got a swimming pool at the house, and hey, yeah, go over there, play in the swimming pool. I'll tell you what, watch your ass, watch your kids, because these are things that they use, those kind of things out there. Oh yeah, I would love to go to their house, go to the swimming pool. Oh yeah, they always have good food. Oh yeah, they always go out. Kids are, even people. Yeah, I would love to go to their house. They always go out to restaurants all the time. I want to go to the restaurant. Kids don't know any better. And before you know it, these people are doing stuff behind your back, and you don't even know it. You don't even know what's going on behind your back, So those are cords that you want to cut, is people that they could already be doing stuff. There's people that will get your kids to drink and smoke behind your back, and you wouldn't even know it. So you really got to don't trust your kids with every family member that comes to the house. I'm serious. They might think, hey, yeah, they won't know about it. It will be our little secret. And I'll tell you what, you got to watch out for that shit. You better know the people that you have in your house. Don't be sending, don't be inviting wolves. And I don't care if they go to the church or not, because they could be wolves too. Be careful, because that is, I've seen a lot of shit in my life with people, what they can do to people, or, teenagers or young kids. So you got to cut cords to people that you get a bad feeling. You hear rumors and all that. Don't ignore those rumors. Those rumors that you're hearing could be freaking true. It's best, to be safe about it and say, you know what, I'm hearing a lot of stuff. A lot of times rumors are true, whether, they might be a little twisted here and there, but, rumors could be really true. Even gossiping, it could be real stuff going on out there. So anyway, I love you. It's up to you, the cords that you cut. And because if you think you're going to make it in this, the stuff that's going on in this world, and you got people putting fear out there, getting you afraid about everything, I'll tell you what, they're the ones that are going to pull you down. They're not going to be the ones lifting you up. And it's not your job to be lifting that. They got to do this. You can help them and encourage them and stuff like that. But if they're just pulling you down, it's up to you whether you cut the cord or not. I love you so much. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace. Thank you for watching. This is Starlight. Namaste. This is Starlight. Love, light, and peace.